Imagine walking into an exam knowing, with calm certainty, that you're going to perform at your highest level. Not because you crammed the night before. Not because you sacrificed sleep or pulled an all-nighter fueled by caffeine and anxiety. But because, weeks ago, you quietly set up a system that made success inevitable. Now imagine something even more radical. What if strata students aren't actually the ones studying the most? What if they're simply studying differently? For most students, academic success feels like a mystery. Some people seem to glide through school effortlessly, balancing classes, social life, extracurriculars, even hobbies, while others grind endlessly, reread chapters, highlight entire textbooks, attend every lecture, and still struggle to break past average. It feels unfair, it feels confusing, and it feels personal. But what if it's not about intelligence? In How to Become a Strata Student, Cal Newport dismantles the myth that top academic performance is reserved for the naturally gifted. He argues something far more empowering. High achievement in school is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and refined. This book matters because it doesn't offer motivational fluff. It doesn't tell you to try harder or believe in yourself. Instead, it reveals the hidden systems. High-performing students use systems that dramatically reduce wasted effort while increasing results. Over the next moment, we're going to unpack these systems in depth. We'll explore how strata students manage time differently, how they take notes strategically instead of passively, how they approach reading without drowning in it, how they prepare for exams in ways that feel almost unfair, and how they write papers without stress spirals. But more importantly, we'll examine the deeper philosophy beneath these tactics. Because this isn't just about grades. It's about leverage. It's about designing your work in a way that compounds. It's about replacing chaos with structure and anxiety with clarity. And by the end, you'll understand something powerful. Academic excellence is not about working harder. It's about working intentionally. Let's begin with the foundation. Cal Newport wrote this book while he was still a student at Dartmouth College. That detail matters. He wasn't theorizing from afar or writing as a detached academic researcher. He was inside the system, observing it closely. He interviewed dozens of top-performing students across competitive universities. Not to ask them how long they studied, but to ask how they thought. He noticed a pattern. Strata students didn't obsess over effort. They obsessed over efficiency. They treated school like a professional system rather than an emotional experience. They weren't necessarily more passionate about every class. They weren't always the most vocal in lectures. And they weren't always the ones sacrificing sleep. What they were doing, consistently, was applying structure. The problem the book addresses is this. Most students approach academics reactively. They attend lectures, collect assignments, and then scramble. They study when they feel anxious. They reread material when confused. They write papers when deadlines loom. It's a cycle of pressure and improvisation. Newport's thesis is clear. Successful students replace improvisation with systems. Instead of vague intentions like "I'll study more," they create specific routines. Instead of highlighting entire chapters, they extract key arguments. Instead of cramming, they build layered review cycles. Instead of writing papers from start to finish in one exhausting session, they break the process into stages. What makes this book different from other study guides is its realism. It doesn't assume you have unlimited time. In fact, one of its boldest claims is that strata students often spend less time studying than their peers because they eliminate inefficiency. This isn't about intensity, it's about design. So what are these designs? The book begins with time management, because everything else depends on it. Newport argues that you don't need to schedule every minute of your life, but you do need a central system. Strata students operate from a single master calendar. Every assignment, exam, reading, and commitment lives there. Nothing floats in mental space. This reduces cognitive load. Instead of constantly wondering, "What do I have due?" your system tells you. Anxiety decreases because ambiguity disappears. Then comes the weekly plan. At the beginning of each week, high performers map out what must be accomplished. Not in overwhelming detail, but in structured intention. They look at upcoming deadlines and allocate work in advance. This creates something powerful: distributed effort. Instead of writing a 10-page paper in one weekend panic, they write 2 pages a week for 5 weeks. Instead of studying the night before an exam, they review in short bursts across multiple sessions. Why does this matter? Because learning is cumulative, and memory strengthens with spaced repetition. By spreading effort, they improve both understanding and retention while reducing stress. Another key insight: Strata students treat free time as sacred. They work intensely when scheduled, but once work is done, they disconnect. This sharp boundary increases focus during work sessions and improves recovery outside them. Most struggling students blur everything together. They half study while scrolling. They think about assignments while relaxing. They never fully focus, and they never fully rest. The strata approach is different. When it's work time, it's deep work. When it's free time, it's guilt-free. This brings us to studying itself. Newport makes a provocative claim: rereading and highlighting are largely ineffective. Why? Because they create the illusion of understanding. Recognition feels like mastery, but it's passive. True mastery requires active recall and synthesis. Strata students don't just consume material, they interrogate it. When reading, they don't aim to memorize every detail. They identify structure. What is the main argument? What are the supporting points? How do they connect? They extract frameworks rather than sentences. During lectures, they don't transcribe everything. They listen for emphasis, repetition, and clarification. They ask themselves, what is the professor really trying to convey? Then, crucially, they review quickly after class. Not for hours, just enough to reinforce understanding and correct gaps. The key principle here is engagement. Passive exposure doesn't create durable knowledge. Active processing does. When it comes to problem-based courses like math, science, or engineering, the approach shifts slightly. Newport emphasizes practice under realistic conditions. Instead of just reading solutions, Strata students attempt problems cold. They simulate test environments. They identify weaknesses early. This builds fluency. It's similar to athletic training. Watching someone lift weights doesn't build muscle. Struggling through the repetition does. Then there's the art of writing papers. Many students see writing as a linear process. You start at the introduction and move forward. But Newport reveals that top students write backwards. They begin with research. They gather sources strategically, not randomly. They look for themes. They build a working thesis early. Then they outline deeply, before writing a single paragraph. This front-loading of thinking reduces friction later. When they do write, it's often faster and cleaner because the structure is already clear. And they revise intentionally, not just for grammar, but for argument strength. The deeper pattern across all these tactics is clarity before action. Strata students don't jump into work blindly. They clarify what success looks like first. Another powerful concept in the book is strategic questioning. Top students attend office hours. They ask specific, targeted questions. Not vague ones like "I don't understand anything," but precise ones like "I understand steps 1 and 2 of this proof, but I'm confused about the transition here." This shows preparation. It earns better guidance. It strengthens relationships with professors. It also reinforces a subtle truth. Success in school is partly social. Visibility, engagement, and communication matter. Let's go deeper now into the psychology beneath all this. At its core, Newport's philosophy rejects the martyrdom model of productivity. The idea that suffering equals success. That longer hours equal better results. Instead, he advocates professionalization. Treat school like a job. Show up. Do the work efficiently. Improve systems. This reduces emotional volatility. When grades drop, it's not an identity crisis. It's a system flaw to diagnose. This mindset shift is transformative. It moves you from reactive to analytical, from self-judgment to iteration. It also cultivates autonomy. Instead of being controlled by deadlines, you control your schedule. Instead of being overwhelmed by readings, you extract value strategically. But there are limitations. This system requires discipline upfront. Weekly planning isn't glamorous. Deep outlining takes effort. Avoiding passive study habits feels uncomfortable at first. And in environments with unpredictable workloads, flexibility is necessary. Systems must adapt. There's also the risk of over-optimization, becoming so focused on efficiency that learning becomes transactional. Newport doesn't argue for obsession with grades alone. Rather, he shows that strong performance frees time for exploration. Because here's the paradox. The students who work most efficiently often have the richest college experiences. They join clubs, they build friendships, they pursue internships, they sleep, not because they care less, but because they've eliminated waste. As we close, let's return to that original image. Walking into an exam.com, sitting down to write without panic, seeing a syllabus not as a threat but as a roadmap. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming structured. Strata performance is not magic. It's not innate genius. It's not secret talent. It's a system of intentional habits. When you centralize your commitments, plan weekly, study actively, write strategically, practice realistically, and engage professionally, you create academic leverage. And leverage changes everything. Because the real gift of mastering these systems isn't just higher grades. It's confidence born from preparation. It's time reclaimed from chaos. It's the quiet assurance that your results reflect your design, not your desperation. So if you've ever felt like success was random, if you've ever wondered how others make it look effortless, now you know. It's not effortless. It's engineered.